Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of INDSA Podcast 2.0. Here on INDSA Podcast, we strive to inspire everyone to choose the food that brings the good as well as to dive into nutrition and dietetics community to know more about it. I'm Jia Yi, your host today, and I'm here with my fellow co-hosts, which is Jean Ann and Ning. Now let me introduce you our charming guest speaker for this episode, Miss Tania Lee. Woo! So, Miss Tania Lee is a certified registered dietitian, nutritionist, and certified specialist in sports dietetics, with more than 8 years of experience working with elite athletes and active individuals. Not to mention that she is also the co-founder of Sports Nutrition Academy, which she is currently working at. So, Miss Tania Lee, would you like share some of your fun facts and your career motivations or goal with us?
Sure, I don't know if I have any fun facts, but I do have one that is IMU related. I was actually working with some of your seniors from IMU, Joanna and Georgian.
Oh, Georgian.
Oh, Georgian
Yes.
was here for episode 1 actually.
Yeah.
I will let him know. He's really, really nice and amazing. I mean, he's also with MDA. Yeah. And my career goal is basically, my passion is health. I mean, nutrition is one of it. Mental health is also one of it. And my career goal is really to be able to do good for the society, and meaning whether it's through health or through nutrition, and also to be able to expand the knowledge among the community. So not just with nutrition students, because I also teach the sports nutrition course. I also always emphasize in the course that all the nutrition students have to also play a part in terms of being a health advocate, because you can be a nutrition student and advocate for nutrition, but then if you don't exercise, then you're not really.
It's not the whole package.
It's like preaching what you don't practice,
All right. So thank you for your sharing. So before we go into our main topic, our viewers will like to know what is your job scope as a sports dietitian.
Okay. So as a sports dietitian, I work with people who likes to eat and also likes to exercise. So yes, like all of us. So building healthy relationship with food as well as incorporating exercise as part of life.
Now, without further ado, let's dive into our topics today, which is, are you addicted to exercise? So before that, why do you guys think this issue is very important to talk about?
For me, right, I think the general public tends to overdo the supposed good and beneficial thing, and especially for exercise, where like the benefits of it is so well known, and like everyone is always talking about how exercise is good for you. So like I think people don't really grasp the concept that anything in excess, including the beneficial, the good ones, can be harmful for us also.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Anything
so
from you?
For me myself, as a person who do sports, I see sports as a fun thing to do. But when people start like doing it just for the purpose of keeping it with their routines, and then start to sense of guilt by skipping it, I think it could kind of lead to obsession and distortion on thoughts and emotions.
Yeah, it's kind of unhealthy when exercise is in excessive too. Any comments from your side?
Well, I feel that anything in excess is not good. just like eating fruits, right? We say fruits are good, but having too much of it is.
Yeah, it's not good too.
It's not good. And it's also one thing because in my profession, we do have athletes who actually exercise more than the usual population. So sometimes it's a little bit in a gray area where you're trying to distinguish between the exercise addiction versus higher frequency or higher higher or longer duration of exercise.
So I actually have a question here. So like it's like my personal experience.
Okay.
So previously when I'm in high school, I used to do two types of sports. So I play for school and I also play for outside. So it tends like for me during my high school we have a pass, something like if we are going to play for school. So when people go for school to study, I have the chance, like I have the priority to go out and
Get
train.
to skip class.
Yeah, I can,
The privilege.
I can skip class and then go out for training. Yeah, so when people start studying from 7 a.m. until 12 p.m. and then for that time, the whole time I go for training. And then after 12 p.m. I go for lunch and then I go for another training for during like after lunch from around 1 p.m. something or 2 p.m.
You're a
Until
serious
five.
athlete.
Yeah, and then I start to like after I graduate, I think it back, I start to sense it like, would it be too much? Like, and then after that, after 5 p.m. I go for dinner and I go for another training some more. And
So you train for 3 times a day.
Long
and
training.
and then like the training places are kind of different. Like for morning one is in school, and then for afternoon one is in outside school but kind of near to school. But for dinner one, the dinner time training is like so much further from our school. So it's like for dinner time exercise, we tend to travel there, and then by the time when I travel back to home, it's already midnight, like around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. So for the next day, I go for school some more. Yeah.
High school us are built different. Man.
Yeah.
I don't understand how we did.
We
all
have the
that.
stamina.
Yeah, with the sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
So what's your thought on this? Like, is it?
So actually what you're experiencing is what a lot of athletes are experiencing. Yeah, and that is not uncommon. But when it comes to exercise addiction, that's a different story, and also there's a different, I would say, like a different definition to it. So exercise addiction is a state where you are engaged compulsively in any form of physical activity, right? And despite any negative consequences that you're facing. So for example, if you went for training, right, and then you are already injured, but you still want to do it despite the injury, you still want to do it, you are addicted to it, right? But in your case, probably not. I feel it's more like there are different phases, right? So there are 4 different phases. So first phase is the phase where you enjoy doing exercise. So most of probably recreational athletes, I would say, they enjoy doing it. So every week they go for 2-3 times exercise, because they enjoy it. They just want to exercise because they feel happy, right? And then the second phase is where they also enjoy it, but there's emotion that tied to it. So they go for it. So first phase is also the health, right? The second phase is more like they are somewhat addicted to the feeling of pleasure, the pleasure feeling. Yeah, because exercise, as you know, when you exercise to a certain level, it releases endorphins, right, to make you feel good. Yeah. And then by the third phase, when it comes to third phase of exercise addiction, is where you are somewhat arranging your time to fit your exercise regime, right? You are maybe canceling your social life meetings with your friends for the exercise, right? You are arranging your time to prioritize exercise. Well, training for competition or what is a little different story, but this is for normal circumstances, right? And then the fourth phase is your life is exercise. You cannot live without the exercise. If you take away exercise, you would feel anxiety, agitated, bad mood swings, everything. So I mean, to really categorize or classify someone or diagnose someone with exercise addiction, I mean, I'm not a qualified person as well, but it always comes with the negative consequences, and you are ignoring that. So the compulsive and also excessive exercise
So perhaps there's 4 classification for exercise addiction then.
Different levels lah. Different stages.
Different stages. Yeah. After hearing what you said just now, me and Jean Ann would like to share some of our real life stories.
Sure, I'd like to know about you guys too.
So, I think after hearing your classification, I think I'm in classification 3. Yeah. I have once in that classification. So, in my 18s, I tend to exercise at least 2 hours every day, and I will arrange my social life into my exercise routine. And every day I will do HIIT workout, I will jog every day, and I will do weight training. I do 3 of these things in a day, every day, and there is no rest day. Yeah.
Wow.
So I also, I don't think I'm addicted to it. I don't think I really like to exercise this, but I did it for some reasons. I want to, lose some weight or
look better.
Yeah, look better. Until I broke my left ankle. Yeah, while I'm doing HIIT workout, and I also lost my period for 6 months. Yeah, and until now I'm still in iron deficiency. Yeah, but I don't think it's because of exercise addiction. Maybe it's because my diet also. I also cut down on some, my diet is not normal also. Yeah. So
you mean during that time, right?
Yeah, during that time. Now I'm improving. Yeah, I'm improving now. I still exercise a lot, but yeah, it's improving. Yeah. Yeah, now I will not schedule my social life and my school life into my routine, but I will try to make my exercise routine into these events. Yeah. So yeah, this is my sharing. You want to share about yours?
For me, it's actually quite similar to you actually. For I think I'm also in phase 3, whereby I was exercising about also 2 hours every day, also consisting of HIIT and weight training, without rest day. And I was also under eating. I think it was really very strict, over restricting myself. Yeah, I think I was consuming about only 600 to 700 calories a day.
That is very less.
That is very little, especially considering the physical activity aspect also. And whenever I had to miss a day because of sudden plans with friends or family, even I'm so ashamed to say this, but even funeral, even this kind of events where it causes me, as long as it causes me to miss my workout, I would be really anxious and
agitated,
very agitated,
frustrated. Oh my god, I have to miss my
to
I
the point where
that too.
To the point I would throw a tantrum or cry. It's really unhealthy thinking about that. Thinking about it now. Yeah, and I guess my experience was pretty similar to Jia Yi.
Yeah.
And then I also similarly for the symptoms, right? I also lost my period for a few, not completely no period for a few years, but it's irregular for a few years. Even until now, I'm still trying to fix this problem. So I think it's called amenorrhea, right?
Amenorrhea,
yeah. And then I don't have the iron deficiency, but for a while in my life, I was my bone mass decreased a lot also. Yeah, but I think I've recovered now, but the amenorrhea problem still in progress. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing this. I think it's not easy for people to actually come out and share about some of this, and I'm sure some of the listeners actually appreciate knowing that, because there may be some others who are actually experiencing has the same experience and are also looking for ways to actually overcome it or feel comfortable, or to know that there are someone who is going through the same thing, and whether or not whatever they're going through is normal or not normal. It's a very confusing stage, I'm sure. I mean, at that point of time,
you wouldn't feel it's something
unhealthy.
Deep down inside you kind of know that I probably have some issue, but also you kind of just brush it off because you want to maintain that way. So that's kind of like the scary thing.
I just have a question for you too. Is it because of body image that you're trying, certain body image that you're trying to achieve, or dissatisfaction that make you all started this exercise or diet regime?
Yeah, for me it is
Yeah, same for me also. Because I think at the time I was suffering from anorexia nervosa, which was talked about in Kianing's episode. If you guys haven't, you can check it out. But
check it out.
It was mentioned before. And then that time, not only I was under eating, I was also over exercising, because it's the two ways I could think of to control my body weight. Like, for me, I didn't want to rely on like the products, which thank God I didn't.
Yes,
like, all those products like waist trainers. We also talk more about it in diet culture episode. But for me it was definitely that. But I think it's a lesson. It's a phase in my life where I appreciate that it happened, because coming out of it, even though I still have some problems that I'm trying to fix, but I think my mindset with exercise now is much more healthier. Like, I genuinely enjoy it. Like, I kept it as a habit, and I think if it wasn't for the fact that I had the exercise addiction at one point because I was insecure, I wouldn't have started exercising. Yeah, so it started out bad, but it came out good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, but actually, Miss Tania, I would like to ask, like, is there any specific signs and symptoms that you can spot someone having an exercise addiction?
I mean, it's a little bit difficult for that, but some of the common ones are social exclusion or social withdrawal. But that one you need to know a person, right? If you're not interacting or engaged with a person, it's hard to just know. Yeah. So also, if seeing friends, or if you know someone who is still wanting to go and exercise or do any form of physical activity, for the matter of fact, even though they are injured, right? That is, the one that you can see, right? Those physical signs. Then that's something clear that you can see. Whereas something that are not so clear, it's difficult to spot, because people who are addicted, or even someone with anorexia or even bulimia, they tend to hide it somewhere.
Yes,
you don't want
that's very true.
You don't want others to know, like, what's going on, or you have any body image issue. But I think having this podcast is really good, because then you create some awareness for others to know that if you are exercising to a point where it is impacting your quality of life, your social life, your physical health, then the exercise is not good. At that level, it's not good for you, and you may be at risk for exercise addiction.
Yeah, that's very true.
So another question for you is, what possible negative effects will an individual with exercise addiction encounter? What do you guys think about it?
I think positive effects, I guess, is similar like what I mentioned just now. It might help you build a habit that may become, like right now, if you are addicted to it, this habit might not be beneficial for you. But maybe in the future, you got used to exercising, but it's not it's not like an addiction anymore. Then you've built like a good habit, for the long run. But in terms of negative effects, I think it can lead to burnout. Like Ms. Tania mentioned, a lot of people, even when they experience like discomfort, like injury or even soreness, and then they still continue, then it can ultimately lead to burnout, and then impair your body function as well. Whereas perhaps another one is that metabolic damage, possibly because you are creating such a large caloric surplus, right, by increasing your energy output. But this one I'm not too sure. Maybe Miss Tania can.
Actually, I wanted to correct you on the burnout, because actually burnout is you are overtrained, like you train too much or you exercise too much, that you gave up and you just don't want to, your performance, your exercise performance has been negatively impacted, and you don't really want to exercise anymore. But it will cause other physiological damage to your body. One of it is, of course, the metabolic effect, right? Because you're over exercising, or if you're not eating enough, that can definitely affect your metabolism. The other one is your hormones, because over exercising, it does affect. Everyone has testosterone levels and cortisol levels, so that will affect as well. And we need a good balance of that, because cortisol is a stress hormone, so the cortisol levels will increase relatively high. And it will affect the testosterone. The testosterone is also an important hormone, because you need that for muscle building, and also balance of female hormones. So that's one. And also, of course, I like to see menstruation as like a checkpoint, right? Even for people who are athletes, right? They are very active people. But if at some point their menstruation was affected, right, then I would see it as like, okay, something somewhere is wrong. Yeah. Let's try to find out what is. Either you're not having enough sleep, or you're exercising too much, or you're not eating enough, or you're not getting enough nutrients somewhere. It's always that, and then the injury, the proneness to injury, the risk of injury. So that's one of the negative as well.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing.
So perhaps they may have higher chance of getting muscle soreness and like getting overuse injuries then? Because when you are over exercising, right, you're doing so much every day, and if you don't allow your body to recover, especially at the older age, when you're younger, you can recover really quickly, but especially at the older age, definitely you may have recurring injuries that may occur. Muscle soreness, it's still okay actually. Muscle soreness and muscle damage, you can recover rather quickly, but actually it's the other injuries that is caused by the muscle soreness or muscle damage. So for example, you are really sore and you still go for it, and then you are not able to balance properly and you fall down, right? Then you get some other secondary injury. That is the one that is going to delay the recovery from it, to go back to exercise. All right, thank you, Miss Tania. So for those who study in nutrition and dietetic course, I believe they are kind of familiar with the terms anorexia, bulimia. So can you guide us to explore deeper relationship between eating disorders and their relationship between exercise addictions?
So it could be two different things, but they could happen concurrently, right? So exercise addiction could happen just by itself, but very commonly, or almost half of those who with eating disorder have also some form of exercise addiction, because we talk about energy balance, right? Energy in, energy out. The way that you can control your calorie is either through in or through out. Whether you control what you eat or what you put out or purge out. So that's exercise bulimia. You're purging out the calories in an exercise form. So a very weird name for it, but purge out the calories. So they both can happen together, because a person may want to restrict the calories, but then feel that they are unable to restrict further and feel that they need to do more. Then they incorporate the exercise, and then further increase the intensity or further increase the duration, and then got addicted to it. But exercise addiction could just happen by itself without without the eating disorder. Especially maybe for someone who really loves the food. They just go for the exercise.
After hearing so many issues about exercise addictions, I'm sure that nobody wants to experience them. Yeah. So are there any effective ways to prevent, or are there any healthy exercise guidelines, like the limit, the recommendations? Are there any like levels?
I mean, the WHO for physical guideline, they recommend. I mean, and they just released it. Actually 2 years ago. Wow, so long already. 2 years ago. No, that time, it felt like just happened, because COVID, and then it just like
the 2 years felt like it just flew by.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like real 2 years. But sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So I mean, generally 150 minutes of moderate exercise and also 75 minutes of vigorous a week. In a week, and of course adding in some strengthening or functional type of exercise, especially for the older adults, right? Because as you get older, your strength, your muscle recovery is all slower. So having those functional type of exercise is very important. In terms of how to prevent it, I think it really happens within the environment or social level, because many times it's actually not caused by self, but actually it's the environment that affects how we view ourselves and how we are satisfied or dissatisfied with our body image. I mean, you can see easily Google and things like that, right? There are certain perceived perfect body image in the society, and for sports, that's even worse, especially if you're engaged in sports which are being judged because of the way you, being judged because of the way you look, your size, or we call it the aesthetic sports. Those are they're all judging, right? They're all looking at how you look.
Gymnasium.
Although that's not exactly one of the criteria, but actually secretly it is. So
it can affect it.
And also actually peers or friends. I think it's very important not to body shame or give comments that are shaming in a way, because actually just a simple have you gained weight recently, it really creates an anxiety in another person who really feel insecure.
Because like maybe people didn't notice, but I mean, it may not be one of a problem for it, but over these little details and just straight away ask out something like that makes people feel like, oh my
anxious
god,
and like, is something wrong with me? Did I?
And then start checking over little details.
It is just a trigger. It's not the main reason, but it trigger it.
And actually, maybe I should share one as well, because this happens a lot in sport, and actually in my sport as well, because I was a swimmer, and I mean, I wasn't the most lean kind of athlete, right? I think there are athletes who they don't need to work out so much genetically. They look really, their muscle tone look really defined, genetically. So for me, it's like I have to really work out really hard to have that either six pack or line or whatever. So one day my coach was like, I think you need to cut down your food a little bit. Then I'm like, oh, why? A bit heavy, So then I said, oh, then what should I do? Then my coach just said, just cut everything in half lah. At that time, as a teenager, and I felt like I would do anything.
My coaches asked me to do, right?
I would do anything for me to do better, to swim better. So that was the beginning of not eating disorder yet, but just disordered way of eating. I was cutting everything in half, and if in sports nutrition, right, we always encourage carbohydrate, because that's how you fuel your exercise. I was cutting. And I mean, I didn't really count my calories at that time. Probably I was eating only like 800, and I was training twice a day, so it was really bad. And no wonder I was not swimming really well. I didn't think too much, right? Like, why am I still not performing really well? And now that I come to think of it, right, I'm eating like so much more than I'm doing before. So really, I mean, these kind of comments, especially to coaches, teachers, instructors, even family members, right? The body shaming or even giving this kind of remarks can actually spark something for someone who is a little bit insecure, or maybe they want to do better and would do anything, especially for those in the athletes population. So I think we have to be very, very careful when we want to pass on that kind of comments.
Yeah, especially when we have that authority. Like,
Yes.
say for coaches, like you mentioned, the students. I don't know how you refer to the
Athletes.
athletes. Yes,
It's kind of
Clearly, I was not a jock.
Yeah, it's just kind of surprising when you say that. Is what a coach say something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone should be aware of our
Words.
word using. Yeah, we need to be aware about that.
Yeah.
So apart from that, are there any options or treatments or ways to rebuild healthy relationship with exercise? Like, since me and Jean have gone through some ups and downs with exercise, are there any effective ways to rebuild this healthy relationship with exercise?
I think the first thing when it comes to exercise or exercise addiction, I mean, if someone is really being diagnosed with that, is really to I mean, of course, you need to seek a professional, but I mean, in my opinion, it's really to speak to someone, yeah, or even family members or someone that you're comfortable with, and be ready to open to talk about it. That's, I think, the first step to even solve it. Because one thing is, because the person, or whoever who is addicted, they need to realize themselves that this is not good, and hearing from someone who they trust and they're comfortable talking with helps learning about, hey, I need to put a pause on what I'm doing. It's unhealthy, right? And of course, the person whom you trust can definitely be supportive in a way that would not be judgmental on what you're doing. Because if you're already in that situation, the worst thing you want to hear is, why are you doing all of the, like being attacked again, right? So you the first thing is really to find someone that you're comfortable to confide in and to seek support. And I feel that as a dietitian, sports dietitian, or even any other healthcare professional, is really to be there to listen and to provide support. Not even, you don't even need to give solution or what, but just to hear them out. And then the next step is really to find ways to find a balance in terms of drawing it back or reducing the frequency to a point where, okay, I'm okay with exercising at a lesser amount, that is comfortable, that wouldn't affect my social life, my health, and something that, of course, if there's dietary issues, that's something also we have to look at.
I see. All right, thank you for that. And actually, I would also like to know what a sport dietitian, or in general any kind of dietitian, like clinical or
it's just a general, just
general.
like us after we graduate.
Dietitian. Yeah. Like, what can we do to actually deal with this rising issue?
I mean, whatever you're doing is great. Even before
podcast.
Yes, podcast. I mean, even before you guys have graduated. And also, I felt that I mean, the awareness is really important, because the more people are able to talk about it, that's where people are more comfortable coming out and learning about what's going on and knowing how to deal with it. During my time, I didn't know what to do with it, and I just kind of, okay, well, maybe swimming is not for me, and right. So it's kind of that's why I said, when you guys have this podcast, it's really good, and of course, when you are comfortable and able to talk about it, you are already in the process of healing or even solving it. Yeah. I mean, of course, I see a psychologist before, but but I think it's also important to see a psychologist if you need to, because I think seeing a professional is really important. So my advice is, whatever that you can do within your scope is great, but also if you're able to work together with other disciplinary team, either the doctor, the mental health professional, psychologist or psychiatrist, I think that is very important to spread the word out there, and maybe to also have someone. I mean, you guys are someone who has experienced it, so you don't need to invite another person, but for someone who has gone through it to actually share and talk about it, I think that is also very important.
I see.
I do think that seeking professional advice is very important, because from my experience, I once opened up with my friend, which is not a professional. They were just, oh, you are very disciplined, very good, keep up the good work. And I'm like, okay, then I will do more.
Or family members, sometimes they don't give very good advice. They mean well, but
they're just keep up the good work. You are very good.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons they say this to you is like they are not the professionals and they are not aware of it. So they don't have that type of knowledge and think you are doing the good.
They will think like, oh, she is very disciplined. She's very responsible for her health.
But I also meant to say professional or expert in that field as well. Because you can have either a normal psychologist or even doctor, right? Not saying that they're not good, but if they're not expertise in certain field, they are unable to help as well. And they may refer you to someone else. So anyways, it's good to refer. And also on our side, as a health professional, I think it's also important to always keep up with the different knowledge and also the new ways of intervening, because that's what CPDs are for. But it's always there are new ways of intervention that we can use, different methods that we can use for any of these intervention.
Okay. Now, lastly, are there any differences between the recommended dietary intake between healthy individuals, like individuals that are not suffering from exercise addiction, and the exercise addicts, or person who are recovering from exercise addiction? Are there any difference?
I think you need to really look at it as an individual, right? Because I mean, there are people who are addicted to exercise, and usually our recommendation, I mean, especially for calories or even some of the macronutrients, is based on how much is their exercise. So there are different levels, different physical activity levels that, I mean, of course, these are all calculations. You calculate your BMR or IMR, and then you times it with the physical activity level. So really, it has to depend, and also whether or not they have any currently coexisting conditions, whether they are underweight or things like that. So I think it's really depends on individual.
So we need to individualize the dietary intake.
It does vary.
It does a lot.
So thanks for sharing so much information with us, and I believe what we have discussed just now will be beneficial to our community and our maybe IMU community students, lecturers, and all our staff, as well as myself too. So we definitely learned a lot from you, and this is indeed a very fruitful and interesting sharing session with you, and we hope you enjoy the session too.
I enjoy learning about all of you too.
Same here.
Lastly, we would like, would you like to share your social media account or your company's social media account, so that when anyone is in need, they could reach out to you?
Sure. We are on Instagram and Facebook. You can search us up at snac.my, snac.my, in Instagram or Facebook. And actually we're having a promotion because my company we are celebrating our 2-year anniversary in November 20th. So we have a promotion for our course. I think now left for 100 ringgit. I think but maybe you're gonna take your sports nutrition, so maybe you won't need it. But for those who are not IU students, So we have a promotion for our course, which is about sports nutrition. If anyone's interested.
Okay, so once again, thank you for joining us today, and all the best in your career, and have a nice day ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And for all our audience, before we sign off, do check us out on our social medias. Details are attached down below. And Miss Tania's details will also, her company's details will also be attached down below. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in to our podcast today, and we will see you on the next episodes. This is INDSA Podcast, inspiring everyone to choose the food that brings the good. Bye.